Black Scully on, check. Got a little graphic hoodie on, check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we got a lot to talk about today. Of course, I'm going to get my AP poll top 25 reaction. I shout out to everybody who's been showing love and support to our platform. This thing is really taking off, not just on the Governor College football side, but also on the CFB Nation side. We're taking off as well. And I really appreciate my team, everybody who I work with. Truly work with a bunch of outstanding people. So this thing isn't possible without them, but also it isn't possible without you all who continue to watch this show. I greatly appreciate it. Last week we had the most viewed that we ever had on YouTube last week, so that's pretty spectacular. So we're growing. It's a 1%er thing. So when you are 1%ers and when you do cover this sport as much as we cover this sport, you know, it's going to take some underground people to truly find us and truly find what we're doing. On today's docket, like I said, we're going to get into this AP poll top 25 reaction. My stance on the AP poll has shifted much more than other people's stances. I think early on in the season, there was just some blurb, something happened. We all remember the Haley, I think her name was Sawyer situation, where she still had, who was it? And she had some Florida ranked above and not even had USF in her top 25. So we saw that situation. I think now each week, and we talked about this on Overreaction Monday yesterday, each week continues to get better in college football. And I asked the question yesterday, and I'm going to propose that same question to you all. How much of this can our heart handle? Truly, how much can our heart handle? Because this season has been nothing short of spectacular. Hey, my dog. 1%ers in the building. My dog Squint 10 Toes is in the building. Jalen is in the building. What's happening? 1%ers stand up. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. It's crazy. This college football season has been crazy. And back to what I was saying, that as far as the AP poll is concerned, it's not as easy as we thought it was. Like, heading into this week with all of the fiasco we had, because college football is such a nuanced sport, because it's such a what have you done for me lately sport, how do you rank teams? Like, for a team that was really good, like Iowa State, who was 5-0, and yes, we did see Cincinnati lose to Nebraska the first week of the season, where they played horrible in the first half, got it together in the second half, and had an opportunity to win that game. Where do you rank them versus where do you rank Cincinnati? Yeah, Cincinnati beat them, so in the grand scheme of things, they should be ahead of them. But how much? Like, do we take away the body of work that Iowa State has had so far? That's why I said I'm going to chill a little bit on those AP poll voters, because they have a really difficult job, especially this season. This season has been spectacular, nothing short of it, and I think we're entering that 2007 territory. Iowa State versus Illinois, we got a damn good game. Big Ten territory. I think a lot of people will be surprised at who I believe is going to win this game and how I believe they're going to win this game. If you never see me do a breakdown, I always break down. I like to break it down in a very organized facet. What's the history of these two teams? What are both of these two teams looking like? Let's talk about the schemes. Like, I will talk about some Jimmys and Joes, but I prefer to talk more about the X's and O's. And we really get to talk about a team who X's and O's. I say this all the time. I can watch USC play, and probably 80+% of their plays, I can tell you what play they're running, especially after I see the replay. I can tell you exactly what they ran, exactly what the motion call was, because I love the air raid system. So we're going to talk about this Ohio State-Illinois game. I think it's going to be an outstanding game. I think it's going to be one of the most slept-on games, because you have other really good games. You got Oregon and Indiana. I believe College Game Day, are they headed to Eugene? We also got Bama and Missouri. That's a damn good game this week. North Texas and USF is a damn good game this week, and we get that game on Friday night. So I can't wait to see that game Friday night. I talked to my dog Moon a little bit yesterday. I think I'm going to Maryland again this week. I do want to go to Georgia because we got the Tech One Bowl down there as well. Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech play this weekend. Also, I have a season credential. I wish it was in reaching distance, but it's right over there for Kennesaw State, so I would have been able to double it up and go to a couple games. But growing up, I was a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan. I absolutely love Lawrence Phillips and Tommy Frazier and everybody that had on that team. And, furthermore, Eric Crouch, Shamon Greens. So I've never seen them play in person. It's going to be outstanding to see that. And I know that fan base is going to travel well as well. So I'll be headed back to College Park. I was there this past weekend to see them play Washington. Very disappointed in how that game ended, but it is what it is. So, yeah, this week I will be on the field per usual, on the sidelines for that Maryland-Nebraska game. Shout out to my dog Moon, who always gets me these credentials. He's the truth for real. So North Texas, USF, this game should have higher billing. And we were talking about it on Overreaction Monday last night, that we believe that College game day is going to have to go to the American at some point, because what some of these teams in the American are doing is just, every week saying it's getting better. Yes, I truly feel that week. Every week we've been saying that. I don't know if you agree with that, but every week, in my opinion, it's definitely gotten better. And I'm not sure how much our heart can take. Shout out to my dog, Jalen. He just released a video, just Jalen. I think he's the best storyteller in this college football space. Please go check that out. Just search Just Jalen, and he's telling the story of the rise and fall of Oklahoma State Cowboys. You guys don't want to miss that. I was looking at it earlier, wanted to be the first comment, because I'm a simple man. When Jalen posts, I get the noti, I watch, and I make sure I add a comment. It's just the way it is, and he does the same thing for me. Really good game in Columbia this weekend, Alabama versus Missouri. I think all of these games that we have on this slate today are really difficult to choose. I think there's an argument for every side, but we don't do no 50% thing over here. We're going to call the game how we see the game, and I'll let you know who I win. And I think I might have went with the dog every time, but I'm known as the underdog hero. So that's everything we're going to talk about on today's show. Governor College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two
CJ
great
on
defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the ball. All right, into the news. Shout out to the Doty game, man. There's some people in here off the jump. I know I'm going live at different times. It's because my setup is completely different, especially after this last week we had our most successful week. And a lot of it is because the way YouTube works. I haven't even gone live on YouTube in a week because Rumble was acting up. I didn't go live on Rumble today. But, yes, YouTube is much better with uploads. So what I've been doing is breaking these segments down, uploading them independently. And I've been getting a lot of views from it. So let's get into some of our into the news. 2026 Aflac kickoff. We were at the Aflac kickoff, both the Tennessee versus Syracuse game. That was the Saturday game, and the Sunday game was the game I was at. Moon was at both of them. There was a blackout weekend with the airline that I utilized, and I couldn't go. So I was able to make it down there on Sunday for the South Carolina and Virginia Tech game. I love the Aflac kickoff. I can't wait to. I think my first playoff game where I'll be on the sidelines will be with Aflac. We have a great relationship with them. I don't know if you guys saw the ACC Media Days where we were live from Radio Row, and Moon was talking to Mr. Slokin. I believe this might be his last year with the Aflac Kickoff Bowl, and he was like, anything you guys need, let us know. Moon was like, we can get credentials. He said, like I just said, anything you guys need, just let me know. And he was a man of his word, and he made that happen. We were both on the field. I still get goosebumps thinking about the Aflac Kickoff Bowl because I got to see Sandstorm, South Carolina's, pregame interest, and I also got to see Inner Sandman in the same day. And like I said, it's just a euphoric feeling when you're there at the field, especially at field level. You get to see all of this. It's just crazy. And Aflac Kickoff Challenge has been announced. At least one of the games. There's always two games. They play for the old leather helmet. That's kind of its name. It's actually in College Football 26, which is pretty impressive. I think I just played in that game in the league that I'm in. I'm in a heavy user league, and the league is dope. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, yes, the Aflac Kickoff Challenge. So, I believe Baylor and Auburn was supposed to do a home-and-home. This year was at Baylor. Auburn was able to win that game in week 1. It was a game I was really pissed off about because I was talking so highly about Baylor this year, and I still have a great belief in Baylor. And I do believe, other than that Texas Tech Red Raider train, there might be some cannibalization in that conference. So we shall see how things add up for all of these teams moving forward. But the fact of the matter is this game has been moved from, it was supposed to be played at Jordan Air. Now it is being played as an Aflac Kickoff Challenge game. So it's going to be interesting to see a Big 12, because typically it's ACC, SEC. That's what the Aflac Kickoff Challenge has been the last couple of years. So it's interesting to see what's the next game. Hopefully it's an ACC versus SEC game as well. But I think this game is going to be absolute fireworks. I'm not mad at it at all. And like I say, I believe Baylor won this deal to not have to go to a raucous environment like Jordan Air Stadium. I think that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So I like it. We did see the game this year. Auburn won, I believe, what was it, 38 to, it was either 38-31 or 38-24. I know Sawyer Robinson played outstanding. They just couldn't stop Jackson Arnold to save their life. So let's talk about Ty Simpson a little bit. Everybody has been complimenting how well Ty Simpson has been playing. And we were on this early in the spring season. My dog Jalen will tell you, Nino would tell you, we all thought that Ty Simpson was the MVP of the spring season. That's why on August 30th, that game versus Florida State was so confusing to many of us, because we was like, well, hold on. Ryan Grubb is back. We love the wide receiver core with Jeremy Bernard, with Ryan Williams, and with Isaiah Horton. We like, why aren't they playing well? Like, it was confusing to me, and it wasn't a schematic thing. It was just a lack of effort and a lack of heart thing for me. And you can tell that they miss Jan Miller, who's been playing outstanding since he returned from his injury. But Ty Simpson is playing amazing, man. 70% completion rate, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns on the season, just 1 interception. He's playing outstanding ball. And I tell you, when we came into the season, I thought about who was the who's who for the 2026 NFL draft quarterbacks. That has definitely changed, because a lot of us probably had either Garrett Nussmeier, maybe even a Cade Klubnik, 1 and 2. Those two had fallen pretty free falling. I'm not saying neither one of them out of the top 5, but I think now people are starting to look at the Fernando Mendoza's of the world. And, of course, Lenore Sellers is another guy that people are looking at. But I believe the more college football we see, Drew Aller's another one who's probably lost some money as well, because a lot of people like everything he has, the intangibles that he have, that he's not, a dual threat quarterback, but he's athletic enough. He can make plays outside of the pockets. They like his prototypical size. I think a lot of people just really was like, hey, if he can put together and string together some really good wins this year, lead a deep playoff run, and have an outstanding season as it pertains to pro days, if he decide to go throw at the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine Bowl, that, hey, he could be in the thick of things. This thing is getting interesting. A lot of people weren't even aware of who Sawyer Robertson was before this season. I saw Tim Brando's list of the top 25 quarterbacks headed into the 2026 NFL draft. Sawyer Robertson wasn't on that list. And if you don't believe me, go to my YouTube at Governor College Football. Go look at my post. On one of those posts, you will see the list of Tim Brando's top 25 quarterbacks headed into the, I think it was 2026 NFL draft. Sawyer Robertson was not listed, and that is a travesty. But back to the point at hand, Ty Simpson is playing outstanding. I think his odds are sitting at on BetMGM at plus 800, which is like the third best in the nation. Of course, Carson Beck and Dante Moore are there. And the Heisman, there's always been like a quarterback bias, but Amar Hardy needs more respect. We're going to talk about him a little bit later when we get into that Bama and Missouri game, but he deserves a lot more respect. I promise you he deserves a lot more respect. So let's get into the SEC Players of the Week. SEC dropped their Week 6 awards. I haven't gotten my SEC email yet, but it's only Tuesday. Every week I get one from Mr. Dunn, and then I just got the one from Big 12. Our emails are always full. Yeah, Matt Enser is the guy at Big 12 who we received the emails from. But anyway, DJ Lagway had a really good week this week. Got a big, in my opinion, upset win over Texas. Yes, he did throw 1 interception, but over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. A really good win. And how about Dallas Wilson, who played outstanding this week? You could tell, and I think that was just his first game back, how pivotal and how much its offense has truly missed him. So shout out to him. And also Alabama linebacker Justin Jefferson and A&M's Damian Sanford were co-defensive players of the week as well. So shout out to everyone listed in that. I think Bill Belichick, what he's doing right now is probably the weakest thing I've seen in college football in a very long time. Ty is 1, Sawyer might be 2. I like that. I think what Bill Belichick is doing is super weak right now. And, of course, as a Bills fan, I'm beefing with everything Patriots right now. But in this moment, I'm kind of standing up for the Patriots. Like, this dude just got, like, power issues, man. Like, his beef with New England runs deep. Like, most schools, when they're on Sundays, when they're trying to, get some traction on their website, they done talked about the game as much as they can talk about this past week's game. You guys got dog walked by Clemson. Wasn't much to talk about, but to put the post up, say the score, final, that's it. Drake May has an outstanding game Sunday night versus the Buffalo Bills. Him and your Diggs killed us, and you guys know I'm a college football fan through and through, but I do love my Buffalo Bills. Seeing that this past weekend lets me know that the Buffalo Bills are in desperate needs of a number 1 wide receiver. We're going to continue to struggle once we begin to play the upper echelon teams of the AFC. I'm scared of that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the story that developed out of this is that Bill Belichick kind of gave strict notice to the social media team that, hey, don't post any Patriots. Like, bro, your beef with the Patriots is that deep. I have called for the firing of James Franklin this season, and I understand the politics of it all. I understand that he's an outstanding recruiter. I understand that his payout is large. I do understand all of that. And also, even though I assumed that the resources were plentiful and Happy Valley, some of the things that I've been seeing online is that, yeah, they're plentiful, but having to do his payout with Eaton to being able to get the players what they need to get. To me, that's amazing. Like, it wasn't just losing to UCLA. It wasn't losing to SoCal for me. It was the fact that you guys went west. You struggled going west last year in a game versus USC that you had to come from behind. There should have been better preparation for that. Where's the ability to adapt? Like, once you collect intel, forget being able to look at other teams and assess how well other teams are playing. You should have the ability to look at your team and say, hey, this is where we struggle at. How do we handicap that? And there was they didn't adapt at all. They really didn't, to be honest with you. But back to what I was talking about. You guys know I love to go on tangents. That's the only reason I have notes. I promise you I could do a 2-3 hour show with no notes. But I have notes, so I don't go on tangents. Jalen know me better than it. We've been doing content for forever now. I will go on a tangent. But anyway, yeah, the fact that Drake May had an outstanding game versus the Bills this past weekend, and Bill Belichick, he's in another level of pettiness. And I said that to say this. I believe this needs to be his last year. My dog, East Coast Gridiron in the building. Shout out to my dog, man. Yeah. Bill Belichick needs to go. This has been an embarrassment to his legacy. What is something that we remember years down the line? Probably not, because most people probably don't remember Thurman Thomas played for the Miami Dolphins, right? So will we remember this 20 years from now? If you're a North Carolina fan, ACC fan, or you love college football like we do, but dude, quit while you're ahead. Because your New England hate is deeper than college football. And what they do at the NFL level shouldn't bother you. Of course, teams want to brag about their players who are now playing on Sundays. It's a great recruiting tool. What are you, new, bro? Do you watch college football or do you skim through it? Hey, that's one of our players. We put him in the NFL. Hey, this is a reason you should come to North Carolina. And you tell them, don't post anything about the Patriots, bro. You a loser, bro. Straight like that, man. I promise you, I don't got no issues with Bill Belichick, but I'm going to always call it like I see it. He is a loser for that. I've never commented, and anybody who's watched the show for a while, never commented on him and his girl, their age. Whatever they do is their business. That's their relationship. But as it pertains to what he's doing at the collegiate level, he's losing a lot of ball games. They're getting dog walking a lot of games. And instead of the stories being, hey, Bill Belichick is really, chopping at the bit, really trying to figure this thing out, right? Like the Casey Keeler story that I always tell you guys about his time. He's at Temple now, but when he was at Sam Houston, and, their first year being integrated into the FBS. But we're now talking about him and his hate for the Patriots, bro. You got to go somewhere, dog. You really got to go somewhere. I ain't even being funny. Bill Belichick got to go. So, James Franklin, we talked about him a great deal this weekend. We all know about the loss in Pasadena that shocked the world. First time and defeated team. Be the top 10 team since 1985. If you do the math, that's 40 years. It's a very long time. That's a very long time. And he's got an outstanding record at Penn State. I've already told you the superlatives. He recruits very well, but I don't think he's an in-game motivator as well as he should be, especially if you look at like the guy in Eugene right now. And Dan Lanning and how motivated he has his teams week in, week out versus James Franklin. I think they need to move in a new direction. But I love to ask the same question everybody else is asking, and all the Penn State fans are asking right now, well, who do you go get, Governor? That's a really good question. Who would be interested in taking that job is my question. How many people would be, hey, I think that place is better where I'm currently at. Of course, they would like to go get somebody like a Lane Kiffin. I don't think a Lane Kiffin leaves the SEC to go there. I really don't. I think he'll leave for another job in the SEC. Maybe if that spot in Gainesville open up. But hey, Billy Napier, when his back's against the wall, he figures it out. But I think James Franklin needs to go. There's a couple up and coming guys you guys have. You look at a guy like Will Stein, what he's doing at Oregon right now as their play caller. He's right there. Go get him. But if you decide to keep James Franklin, what is that saying to your fan base? I remember in the spring season, at the spring game, somebody called James Franklin a fraud. James Franklin showed more fight in that moment than I've seen in his entire coaching career. And that's embarrassing to me. Let's talk about the latest national title odds. We're at week 7. Of course, people thinking about the college football playoff and who's the best teams in college football. I think if you ask 15 people to name, hey, who do you think are the best teams in college football, you would probably get, let's tell them to list like 5. You will get so many different answers. It would be ridiculous, but Ohio State stays at top at 425. Dante Moore and Oregon close behind at 500. Alabama climbs to plus 700 because of Ty Simpson and what he's been able to do. Miami has looked really good. That hurricane train is real. So far, I've been wrong about Miami, but I know at some point this season, crystal ball, and I prefer to be on the right side of history. Maybe he won't because they look damn good this year. Miami's at plus 800. Georgia's holding firm at plus 1,000. Georgia can definitely win a national championship this year. Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. We're going to find out a lot about these teams moving forward. We really are. Penn State has plummeted to plus 3,000. So if you really believe in Penn State, bet on them to win a national championship. A small bet should get you some money. All right, so let's move forward. We'll get into our first segment. You know, of course, in the news is just to introduce everybody. We'll get to our first segment, which is our AP Poll Top 25 reaction. All right, so I keep switching setups. My apology. A lot of this is by design. I love this setup that I had for the previews that I've done. I think it's been either last week, maybe last week and a half. Loved it a lot. It's just that when you're trying to do shorts and stuff, it's not the best because you gotta scale it right. So this right here will be better for scaling and be easier for me to create shorts out of. Coming in at number 1 is Ohio State. They have 40 first place votes. And I'll say this about Ohio State. PJ Fleck, a guy at Minnesota who I respect a lot as a head coach, stated that this Ohio State team may be the best team he's seen in over a decade. That's impressive to me. That's really impressive to me. So we got a really good comment from my dog Dante of East Coast Gridiron. Will Stein could convince Drew Aller to stay, and he will be a Heisman favorite right away. That's right. He does have another year eligibility. I'm not mad at it at all. So Ohio State, number 1 in the country, 40 first place votes. Ohio State, like PJ Fleck said, this is looking like the best team in the country. I underestimated how good of a defensive coordinator Matt Patricia was. And it's not that I didn't know that at the NFL level. We saw him have a lot of success as New England defensive coordinator. Also saw him have a little bit of success in Detroit, but also seen him have the struggles as Detroit Lions head coach. But what he's doing right now is just next level. And the players that he got on, they lost a lot of production, whether we like it or not. Ohio State lost a lot of production, and they haven't lost a beat. And if I'm being honest, their defense does look better. And the way that he's using Caleb Downs is outstanding. And I'll get more into Matt Patricia's game a little bit later when we talk about this Ohio State and Illinois game. But, yes, they are the number 1 team in the country. Miami, number 2. They received 21 first-place votes. College football is a what, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who watches this show? It's a what have you done for me lately sport. Oregon, who just won a big game versus Penn State, really didn't mean as much to the minds of people because they just lost to UCLA. But what did we see in the beautiful city of Tallahassee at Doe Campbell Stadium this weekend? Shout out to my dog Dante. He was 100% right about this game. We saw the hurricane train, and they look phenomenal. And guess who hated to see it? Me. Because I think for years I hated on Texas, and the year that I finally stopped hating on Texas is probably the year I should have been hating on Texas, and Miami is just one of those. I believe it when I see it. And even though through 5 games they've shown they're one of the best teams in the country and arguably the best team in the country, I still don't believe it. Is that bad? Maybe. I don't know. Oregon's in at number 3. They had 5 first place votes at 5-0. Ole Miss number 4. Ole Miss has been tremendous. I haven't looked at any news. I think within the last 18 hours, I'm not sure if Lane Kiffin has announced who's going to be a starting quarterback. I think it 100% should be Trinidad Chambliss. I've talked about this a myriad of times on this show. But that offense is really good. How fast they went against LSU. We saw the beautiful scene of Whit Weeks throwing up while playing that game. And it was tempo. Yes, sir, Dante. Carson Beck is 100% the team, and I agree with you 100%. Texas A&M. The thing I like about Texas A&M, when I look at a team, is how many different ways can you win? I look at a team like Penn State, I say, well, Penn State can probably only win one way. And that one way for Penn State, the win is build a lead, get a lead, play outstanding defense, go home, and you have a nice day. Let's shake hands. That's the way they go in a game. I've seen Texas A&M getting a shootout versus Notre Dame, struggling in a game that they couldn't score versus Auburn, having another game versus versus Mississippi State, where, you know, they were struggling a little bit at first, but they was able to find their rhythm a little bit later on in the game. How many different ways can you win a game? That matters when you get into the core of your schedule, and your schedule only get tougher moving forward. That matters an awful lot. Oklahoma at 5-0. Will we see John Material this weekend in a Red River rivalry? That'll be a game that we'll talk about later in the week. Probably would have been on this if we didn't do our AP Poll Top 25 reaction. Indiana at number 5. We got a damn good game in Eugene this weekend. We got a damn good one. I shouldn't even have to mention that one to you. Number 8, Alabama. Alabama's looked outstanding these last few weeks. I think Texas Tech is a team that many people are like, okay, we get that they're good. We see the box score. Have you had the ability to see them? Because last year they could put up a lot of points with Zach Kelly as their offensive coordinator. Their biggest weakness was defense. So what did they do in the portal? Hey, give me all the money you got. We're going to spend it on defense. And they've looked outstanding this year. Texas Tech is definitely the team to beat in the Big 12, even though that hurts me to say. Georgia coming in at number 10. LSU at number 11. LSU got a game against Arkansas this weekend that can be really interesting, and that's all I'll say about that. Number 12, Tennessee is 4-1. I think they've looked really good. Much needed idle week that they had this week. It'll be interesting to see how they're looking next week. Georgia Tech plays in the Tecmo Bowl, one of my favorite games, this weekend versus Virginia Tech. We last saw Georgia Tech versus Wake Forest in that game with a controversial play where Wake Forest quarterback Robbie Ashford was able to get somebody to jump off sides. The refs didn't see it. They ain't call it. And so Robbie Ashford ended up trying to get a free play, but it ended up costing him and giving, Georgia Tech more time to go down, score, and win the game in overtime. Missouri's at 5-0. Number 14, they've looked damn good this year. Michigan, let's show some respect for Michigan. I probably owe Michigan an apology. It's not that I was super critical of them. My thing with Michigan was the production that they lost defensively, some of the moving pieces that they've also had as it pertains to coaching. Don Week, Martindale, being their defense coordinator, he's doing an outstanding job. They're still 1.5% dimensional. They do have the ability to pass a little bit, but I feel like they're all design plays for Bryce Underwood to either make an easy throw or for him to take off. But Michigan has looked damn good this year, and I do owe them an apology. And I can't wait to see them play USC this weekend. Notre Dame at number 16, I think that's a bit high for me. I know they looked really impressive last week. I believe they was idle this past week. Were they idle this past week? They looked really impressive versus Arkansas a week ago. It'd be interesting to see how well this team looks down the stretch. I believe if they're going to the playoffs, they have no wiggle room for error. They need to win out. I think they know that. Illinois coming in at number 17. I think a lot of people overreacted that Indiana game. Yes, it was bad. 63-10 belt to you-know-what. It was extremely bad, but they're fighting. They're trending in the right direction. Great game against Purdue this past week. Beat USC the week before. And Ohio State's on upset alert. BYU, all they do is win games. They're going to come to your house. They're going to put their feet up on your coffee table. They're going to put your robe on. They're going to smoke your cigars. And they just going to chill and play the game they want to play. BYU is a damn good football team. Guess who is streaking? And it's not too far from me here in the beautiful city of Fredericksburg. But they're in Charlottesville. UVA. UVA looks damn good this season. 5-1. They beat a team I believe so much in. A team a lot of people didn't believe a lot in. I talked to quite a few people who thought that Louisville could be good, but they had some areas of concern. My dog Dante from ECG was one of them. Moon said it a few weeks ago. He's like, dog, I know you like Louisville, but I don't believe they're as good as everybody think they are. And I think when he said that, he really meant they ain't good as I think they is. I still think Louisville's a really good team, but they squandered an outstanding opportunity. They have 8 home games this year. Illinois is another team with a lot of home games. Illinois has 7 home games this year. So that's impressive. Vandy went down, and I know the talk of the town, and I've also participated in this verbiage as well, is Diego Pavia having some humble pie this weekend. I think the thing people don't realize, yes, he wrote some checks in the offseason and in-season. Vandy couldn't cash, but he ain't the type of dude that's just going to tuck his tail. He got Napoleon complex, bro. How I know? Because I got it too. Bro ain't about to tuck his tail. He going to continue to believe that they are the best team in the state of Tennessee. He's going to continue to believe that they're a playoff team. Granted, I know the score looked bad. I think it was, 30-14 was the final score. 2 turnovers in the red zone cost him this game. That game was closer than the score indicated. Just like the reciprocal of that was that game in Doak Campbell Stadium this weekend where it looked like it was a 6-point game. Miami put hands and feet on them dudes. They made it look good at the end. Arizona State coming in at number 21, 4-1. If there was ever a 4-1 team that you look at and say, you're 4-1, but how long? How long is this going to continue? I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is that team. Losses are coming for Arizona State. And guess what? Kenny Dillingham tried to warn us in fall camp. We weren't listening to him. We just saying, wow, what a great coach that Kenny Dillingham is. I was saying it too, but bro was telling truths. Number 22, Iowa State. I still have a lot of faith in Iowa State. I'm not sure too many teams in the country would have went to Cincy and beat them this weekend. Their fan base showed out. That kid, Brendan Sorsby, is playing out of his mind. Scott Satterfield should be in the talks for Coach of the Year. I'm not saying he should be 1 or 2 on that list, but damn, he should be 4, 5, 6 on that list, because that's a guy coming into the season that I thought was on the high seat. I never liked to hire. Never liked to hire. Never even thought in a million years I'd be saying that. Memphis coming in at number 23, Ryan Silverfield. If you don't know who that guy is, he's head coach of Memphis. He and Moon had some of the best ball talk I've seen, period. If you haven't seen that episode, go to the CFB Nation on YouTube. Go to the live tab. Now look for our live coverage of American Media Days. We were live on Radio Row, the best Radio Row experience I've ever had, because teams were fighting to get to us. They were literally getting mad at us, like, when can we go on? When can we go on? It was incredible, bro. Best feeling I've ever had as a college football creator. Best feeling I've ever had. Ryan Silverfield, good news from Memphis. He came a long way. Trending in the right direction. Bad news for Memphis. Ryan Silverfield will not be there at the end of the year. Also, by the way, Memphis is the first team to be bowl eligible this year, so shout out to them. South Florida at number 24. Florida State at number 25. I don't agree with that. They should not be in the top 25. I believe North Texas deserves a look for the top 25. What ODU is doing right now is really impressive. I know sometimes we can be G5 homers just because of our approximation. Navy is another team's playing really good. I'm telling you, the American this year, at some point in time, I think they'll be competing with both the SEC and the Big 12 due to the parity in all of those conferences with, it's about to get unchy. It's going to be so many times we're going to look at the American Conference and say, it's about to get real unchy. Like, what Tulane going to do this week? How y'all going to respond, Coach Summerall? What Memphis going to do? How y'all going to respond, Coach Silverfield? What USF going to do? How y'all going to respond, Coach Golish? That's what we're going to be looking at the American like. Because I'm telling you, I said it before the season started. Some people doubted me. They said no. I said, listen, I believe that American is the best conference in college football. Not the best conference, the best group of five conference. Let me say that before you say, whoa, y'all start throwing tomatoes at me. Don't throw tomatoes at me. I fight back. I punch back. I swing back. I promise you. Don't throw tomatoes at me. But yeah, I believe they are the best G5 conference. And even when the Pac-12 join next year and we'll call it a G5, the G6, I still believe they're the best G6 conference. It's going to get real unchy. Overall, like I said, I don't got a lot of hate towards the AP poll this week. I think they did their job. I think the poll, my opinion, is starting to set up really well. I think it's really comfortable week in and week out. But it's just so difficult because of the things that we saw this season, the seismic upsets we've seen. Like USF beating Florida was seismic. And at the time, USF putting hands and feet on Boise. We felt the same way about that. What we seen out in Pasadena this weekend with Nico Iamaleava looking like who I believe he was going to be heading into the season. That's the feeling we got, So it's amazing. That's my thoughts on the AP poll, top 25. We're going to get right into these game previews. Bear with me. We may be long-winded. Alrighty, so we got Ohio State versus Illinois. I think this is a damn good playoff game. These are two teams I do have in the playoff. Yes, I still have Illinois in my playoff. I don't back up for my takes. I know they look terrible versus Indiana. Did you guys see a difference in Kirk Cignetti this week? Remember how confident he looked, how he was talking greasy about Illinois, kind of sneak this in Iowa, even though he was giving Iowa credit? Or when they got to play big bad Oregon, Dan Lannis, he's one of the best coaches in the sport. Cignetti, you don't look like Cignetti. You know the Cignetti, I know, man. He put it on the table, bro. But I guess that's coach speak. He got to get coach speak, because the one coach in college football you don't want to give any clickbait material to is that guy in Eugene when the resources are plentiful, and that kid is crazy. Something is wrong with Dan Lannon. I think if Dan Lannon heard me say that, he would laugh at it and say, yeah, the governor's right. So I'm not all the way there, and it's okay. I understand it. It's like, did you guys see, like, if there's a villain in college football, but the villain that we love as a head coach is Dan Lannon. It's got to be Dan Lannon. Like, do you guys see the look on his face when he was talking to him, when they was about to play Colorado and they play for Clips and we play for... Dude, did you see his face when they came out of the tunnel for the Penn State game, whiteout, he's just soaking it all in. He's looking at all the fans. You even see a little tear come out of his eye. He's looking at his players, like got his hands balled up like he about to go fight, you know what I'm saying, Rocky Balboa or somebody. Like, that dude is clearly a nutso. Let's get back to this game. Ohio State, PJ Fleck said this is the best team he's probably seen in about 10 years. I believe coaches when they say things like this. Ohio State is the number one team in the country. But let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the coaches. Let's talk about the philosophies. Let's talk about the players that you need to watch. Let's also talk about the history. Ohio State has clearly dominated the history of this game. 68 wins to 30, 6 straight since 2011. I believe that was the last time that they beat them. But this year in college football, I think things kind of always turn out differently than we anticipate. Ohio State has kind of been the anomaly, you know what I'm saying, like the outlier, right? So let's talk about the philosophies of both of these teams. Ryan Day and their system with Brian Hartline, we've seen Chip Kelly. Year before that, it's hybrid NFL offense at speed, spacing, and surgical precision. That's what you're going to get out of their system. Brian Hartline, he's the offensive coordinator, outstanding recruiter, specifically at the wide receiver position, was a wide receiver coach for a very long time. And I believe this offense is the offense that has been refined. And it hasn't been refined because of the lack of talent. But I think this system has been refined to make Julian Sand comfortable. And guess what? Julian Sand is comfortable 100%. Let me get this video back up. I don't think I put the loop on it. No, it ain't it. Where's it at? I did. Let's loop that bad boy. We good. So I believe so far this season, he has made the system really easy for Julian Sand to run. And I believe as the season go on, he's going to start giving him a lot more. They're in 11 personnel a lot. They're in 11 personnel an awful lot. They're not afraid to use condensed formations just to create space. We all know about how great Jeremiah Smith is. When you think about the 2027 draft, that's the first person you think of. But for me, when I think about who's the best player in college football, I think without a doubt it's Caleb Downs. And as great as Jeremiah Smith is, and I know some people say, hey, they're 1 and 2 and it's here and here. To me, it's here. Caleb Downs is clearly the best player in college football. The way that Matt Patricia uses Caleb Downs is crazy. I think when Matt Patricia got there, I think he looked at what Jim Knowles was doing that worked really well, but what are some things we probably could have added on and that maybe Jim Knowles didn't have quite enough trust with them. So the way that they disguise their coverage is absolutely amazing. So let's talk about Bielema, Coach Bielema, and everything he likes to do with Illinois. I believe he's one of the last throwback power football coaches that there are. I believe that's why Illinois, when they thought about, hey, who are we going to replace Lovie Smith with, they went and got somebody like Brett Bielema, who has experience in the SEC, who has experience in the Big Ten, and is going to play a style of game that's not going to get them embarrassed. Indiana game being an outlier. But a lot of times, it's just not going to get them embarrassed. The offensive coordinator, Barry Lundy Jr., really like what he brings to the table as a coordinator. I really love the trust and the relationship of Luke Altmaier and Barry Lundy Jr. You guys heard me say that a million times heading into the season. I love their gap scheme runs. Love it. The power G that they'll run, their counter trade that they'll run, mixed with the wise on RPOs. That they put linebackers in conflict. That's what they want to do. They want to punch you in the mouth, but while they punch you in your mouth, they kind of want to be masters of disguises as well. I think that's incredible. Quarterback Luke Altmaier. You guys know. You've seen me do it on the show time and time again. Yeah, he did. I agree, Jalen. He definitely gave Iowa a backhanded comment. He sneaked this like a mug. But this week, he carried it different. He carried it 100% different. There's not too many quarterbacks in clutch situations I trust more in college football than Luke Altmaier. I really don't. They just always find a way. He just always find a way. If it's a close game, they're finishing with the ball, and they got to go get points. I don't care if it's 3, 7, whatever they need. I trust Luke Altmaier. I really do. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. Caden Valentine, we was kind of trying to figure out who was going to be the guy for them with McCray hitting the portal. He's now in Athens right now. But Valentine, he brings a little bit thump to him, 323 yards, 3 touchdowns on the season. And I talked a little bit about Barry Lundy's system, but they're not afraid of unbalanced sets. They're not afraid to go extremely run-heavy either and use heavy personnels. And they do something that's really interesting. At times, they will slow the game extremely down. Like, hey, we're going to play the possession game. We believe that if we can keep this time of possession, where it's us by about +7 or 8, and then we give ourselves an opportunity to win at the end of the game, we trust our quarterback more than you guys trust your quarterback, right? But they've run I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it. They will go tempo sometimes. They really will. But a lot of times they're just trying to slow the game down. Aaron Henry, you ask the average Illinois fan, they're not a huge fan of Aaron Henry. I believe that things are getting better. I believe that the Indiana game was bad. It was rough, but they lost their game in all 3 phases of the game. Special teams, offense, and defense. I agree. I think that is 100% true. But he runs the 4-2-5 nickel. 4-2-5 is kind of the way you have to play in college football modern times with all of the spread offenses and stuff, even though the Big Ten as a whole is kind of a throwback. But he will use mixed formations. He'll also throw that 3-3-5 stack in there as well. Also simulated pressures. That's what a lot of defense coordinators like to do. They got guys that can get to the pass rusher. Gabe Jacques, one of the best defensive players in college football. He truly is. So they will get those mug fronts, those double A-gap looks. That's what Illinois likes to do. Really will. And they utilize their safeties. We've seen safeties have a lot of success there. We've seen defensive backs have a lot of success there at Illinois. So that's what they do. I love the guy, Maya Scott, that they got at safety. Yes, 31 tackles already. I know some people probably like, that's not good. He's probably getting a lot of tackles after, people are catching the ball. They're not afraid to put him in the box at all. So for this matchup breakdown, here are the main things I'm looking at. I'm looking at Illinois offensive line. Can they win a war of attrition on the line of scrimmage? You guys hear me say that almost every segment, but I don't think you all realize how important that is. Can they win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage? And it's going to be their offensive line versus Ohio State defensive line. And can Ohio State defensive line neutralize Illinois' defensive line? That's going to be about. And then Jeremiah Smith, how you guys going to play him? He going to get his, right? Are you comfortable with containing him? Are you going to try to completely shut him down? That's why I'm looking at Aaron Henry and say, what are you going to try to do to win this game? I already talked about time possession. But Illinois got to dominate here. They really do got to dominate here, and I believe in that 100%. So let's look at some of the metrics of both of these teams. Ohio State 5-0. Illinois does have 1 loss on the season. Both teams, believe it or not, averaging 37 points per game. Ohio State is only allowing 5 points per game. You see quarterbacks, coordinators, because a lot of people like to just blame it on quarterbacks. They just look completely lost. We seen that in Minnesota this past weekend. Also seen in week 1 versus Texas where they was just like, is the light bulb on up there? Like, that's what they've made offensive coordinators do. So I wonder what's Brett Bielema's plan to win this game. Will this be like what we saw, wasn't in 2022, Jalen? Correct me if I'm wrong. Where you guys beat mighty Penn State. Y'all ran the ball a bunch of times, won a time of possession game, and figured out a way to win this game. I think a lot of people are waiting for the Ohio State and Penn State game. I think this game right here, I'm telling you, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I think Ryan Day is going to want to score points early, get a lead, and then allow that outstanding defense to play the way that it's been playing. Truly. We talked about both of it. We talked about Matt Patricia, how he liked to disguise his coverages, how he makes quarterbacks see ghosts. If Luke Altmaier finishes with a stat line of 0 interceptions and Illinois wins the time of possession, I think Illinois win this game. I know it sounds like an upset of epic proportions, but week in and week out it's been happening. Anything is possible. Give me Illinois and Champaign 27-23. They play the time of possession game, and this game may rear its ugly Big Ten head. But watch out for Illinois in this game. I really like them, and I trust Luke Altmaier in the clutch more than I trust Julian Sand. Julian Sand is an outstanding quarterback. I'm not saying that Julian Sand's potential isn't through the roof, but Luke Altmaier is money in the clutch. He's absolute money. So give me Illinois in this game, 27-23. I like this game. It's a really sexy matchup, but give me Illinois in this game. Let's move on to our next game. We got USF versus North Texas. This should have game of the week implications, but it doesn't. And I get it. So many great games this week. It's hard for little old American Conference to compete with what's going on. But this is our Friday night game in Texas. We know what the Friday night high school games are like in Texas. Can you imagine in Denton, Texas, a Friday night college football game and what that looks like? It's going to be outstanding, man. I promise you. North Texas, undefeated. 5-0, hosting South Florida, who's been battle tested. I think the people who really like South Florida in this game, they like the fact that they've been battle tested. They're back in the AP poll top 25, and they should be. Both of these teams are tempo heavy teams. We'll see some of the best offenses in football. You will see them Friday night. They're both tempo heavy. Aggressive defenses, because you kind of got to be because of the offenses that you face. And we got a beautiful Friday night coming. So these two programs have only met twice, back in 2001 and 2002, and South Florida took both. They were the bigger program at the time, for sure. So let's talk about North Texas. Love their head coach, Eric Morris. I love the way that he built this team and the way he imagines this team. They do run the air raid. You guys know that that's the system I'm most familiar with. Offensive coordinator Mike Balesh. He is a disciple, believe it or not, of Mike Leach. So he runs a more modern style air raid, but you can see those old principles that Mike Leach or the great Hal Mumme, who invented this air raid system, you see those principles now. Drew Metzemaker is playing outstanding. I remember how angry people were when he was named starting quarterback. But they was like, yo, this is a story made for the books. This will be made into a movie. If North Texas finish with 8 or more wins this year and a nice bowl game appearance and they win the bowl game, this story is, I mean, even at 5 wins, this is a story made for the big screen. It absolutely is. But Drew Metzemaker is playing outstanding. Outstanding. Over 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, 70% of his passes are being completed. It's crazy. I believe he has no interceptions on the season. And Malik McGill, he makes them pay. Drew Metzemaker does a lot of dirty work, but Malik McGill is pretty solid. Got over 300 yards on the season and 4 scores. They're averaging 45 points per game. North Texas is moving the ball at a really high clip. So let's talk about Skylar Cassidy. He's the defensive coordinator, and this game is all about deception. It really is. We talk about teams who use multiple fronts, and the reason you have to use multiple fronts is based on the looks the offense are giving you. If an offense decides to go extremely heavy, then yeah, you got to be able to run a heavier front. If they're heavy pass, then yeah, you got to run a different front. So they're running multiple systems. Skylar Cassidy does. It will switch from 4-3, which you will see them in, but you will also see them in some 3-3-5 principles as well. And they preach reading the quarterback eyes, right? And you can do that a lot of times in zone systems. You're not looking at the routes. Let's read the eyes. He throw the ball. Let's go get us an interception. They send pressures from everywhere. That's those simulated pressures we always talk about. Overloads, various stunts that they like to do with this defense, right? Linebacker, Seth Witter. He's built for this type of defense, a defense that's built for violence, built for high IQ. He's built for this defense. He's playing outstanding, and Keith Huddleston is playing amazing as well. So Skylar Cassidy, that's what you're going to get out of his game. Let's talk about South Florida and Veron Shoot. So we got Alex Golesh, who is the head coach and play caller for the Bulls of South Florida. He comes from the Josh Heupel tree. Very successful in 2022 there when Tennessee was the darling of the sport and Jalen Hyatt was open every other play that year. Yes, Alex Golesh was the offensive coordinator there. And I think Joey Hazel, who's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee, has definitely figured it out because you're seeing Tennessee being able to put up points in bunches as well. Like I said earlier, Golesh calls his own plays and he lives out of that Veron Shoot system. Some people will call it a Veron Shoot spread because it has changed a little bit since you got to South Florida. But sometimes the player skill set that you have on your team, you're forced to change. Your offense should never be, the same. And we see that in the school we're going to talk about a little bit later. So his philosophy is simple. We got wide splits. They want to stretch the safeties, make defenses play every inch of grass. Also, it's a numbers game. If we have wide splits, we got a bunch to the right, and that bunch, you only got 2 people to cover that bunch. That means, well, I want to throw the ball to that wide receiver. My 2 blockers going to pick up those 2 players, and we got plays to make. Now, if you're worried about what we have on the outside and the inside, the numbers are, hey, our running back just got to make one person miss. Well, that's your running back's job. Make people miss an open space. So that's what you're going to get a lot in this Alex Golesh system. Byron Brown playing outstanding. He's their leading rusher. I know as it pertains to passing, only 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I know some people want to see him get those numbers down, but he does so much for their team. I don't like when people are critical of someone. You said if Illinois wins, you'll stop slandering Brad Underwood for a season. Hey, that's hilarious, Jalen. I don't like when people kind of say, yeah, Byron Brown is good, but how many quarterbacks have to do what Byron Brown has to do week in and week out? Every week he's on his Mariah Carey, his best rendition of Mariah Carey when a hero comes along. Every week he's doing that. Look, his wide receiver, you don't got to look no further. His go-to wide receiver is Christian Emerald, who's playing outstanding right now, over 400 receiving yards. And he's one of those guys, because of the spacing, because of what this offense allows, he can turn a short play into a large play. So let's talk about the other side of the ball. We're going to look at Todd Orlando and his 3-3-5. It's like a controlled balance type of defense. He brings pressure with a purpose. His 3-3-5 defense thrives on confusion, 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 defensive backs, and chaos in every gap. That's the way they want to run this defense. It's aggressive, it's fast, and it's violent. And I know we're not supposed to use the word violent as we become more aware of concussions and things like that, but you can't play scared. You just can't play scared in college football. You cannot at all. So we have the air raid on the other side, fear and shoot on the other side. I expect absolute fireworks this game, and this North Texas crowd should be crazy. It should be raucous. This environment should be absolutely incredible. I have flipped a coin on this game 3 or 4 times. I think the mean green of North Texas find a way to win this game. I know South Florida is battle tested, but what happens if this game becomes a shootout? If it's a close game, I favor South Florida because they know how to win close games. But if it's a shootout, give me Mensa Maker, give me that offense, give me that air raid, and them finding abilities to put the points on the board. So give me North Texas in this game. I think it's going to be an outstanding game. I think this is great. These games that we're getting this week, we are not worthy. We're not worthy at all. So let's get into our next game. We got Bama versus Missouri, and you guys can go ahead and hit the overtime button because we definitely going over an hour today, but it's all good. I love breaking these games down for you. Let's talk about Bama, Mizzou. Great game. Great game in Columbia. Missouri this weekend, and I guess College Game Day didn't want to be biased and go down to Columbia this weekend, but they definitely could have. I think at this point, we know you guys favor the SEC. You guys will try to show love to the Big Ten as well, but it is what it is. You show love to some of the Big Ten, not all of the Big Ten, because you could have went to Champaign this weekend if you wanted to. So let's talk about this game. We got number 8 team in the country, Alabama, facing the number 14 team in the country, Missouri. Both these teams are red hot. Red hot. I love to use this parallel, this analogy. You guys heard me say it before. Guess what? You're going to hear me say it again. Your thoughts on Alabama, 7 p.m., August 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What were your thoughts then? What are your thoughts now? That's the beauty of college football. So let's take a look at some of the metrics. Missouri is 5-0, averaging 45.2 points per game while allowing just 14.6. I think that's the thing a lot of people miss with this Missouri team. Top 10 offense, top 20 defense. Impressive. And I know what a lot of you guys going to go to. You're going to go, well, who have they played? Strength of schedule. I think was it the Border War, their toughest game? That was an outstanding game. That's one of the best games I've seen all year. When I talk about 2 offenses just clicking, didn't see a lot of punts. Outstanding game. So, Alabama 4-1. They're averaging 36.4 points per game, giving up an even 16. And where I get my strength of schedule stuff from, I get it from Sports Reference because it's what you played. It's not, oh, well, you played this team, and it's based off of last year's record. No, it's the schedule that you played. Who have you played this year? What is your strength of schedule up to now? So they're 5th in strength of schedule right now, 3rd toughest schedule in America and the country. So I think this game is going to be one of those games where you don't want to be that person who said, I didn't see this game. I don't think you want to be that person. You don't. So let's talk about schemes. My favorite thing to talk about. So let's talk about Ryan Grubb. He's the offensive coordinator, man behind the curtain. We did see him spend a year in the NFL at Seattle with the Seahawks. Before that, he and Kalen DeBoer were at UW, where that system was beautiful to watch in 2023 with them and Michael Penix. That team was amazing. It really was. So he runs a pro-style spread offense. It's really clean version of football. It really sits well with what Alabama likes to do. Outstanding space and tempo, precision. A lot of 11 personnel. You guys know that. He's running the spread. It's a lot of 11 personnel. But it also is an offense that places a lot of onus and responsibility on the quarterback and Ty Simpson. So it's not geared. And I'm glad he went to Seattle for a year. This is no disrespect to Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe's in the NFL. I think he had an outstanding college career. But I don't think this offense suits what he likes to do. I think when Nick Sheridan was running with Jalen Milroe suits what Jalen Milroe did a little bit better. And even though the systems are similar, like at the end of the day, we could talk about systems all we want. A lot of these systems have similar identities. It is what it is. But RPO heavy, screen heavy, all about isolating one defender and forcing them to be wrong. This wide receiver core is amazing. But Ty Simpson, he's the guy that's making that happen. 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, just one interception this season. And you really got to defend these wide receivers. Because while Ryan Williams had all the hype coming into the season, he came alive a little bit in that Vandy game this past weekend. Jeremy Bernard, I think he's been the guy that you have to watch for this team. I know coming into the season, Ryan Williams had all the hype, what he did last year. A lot of people talking about Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. Jeremy Bernard is the guy at wideout for this team. Make no mistake about it. Jeremy Bernard 100% is the guy to watch. And then Isaiah Horton could give you some plays from the outside as well. Jeremy Bernard has 292 yards, 5 scores on the season. Jam Miller has been a big difference since he came back. Hasn't even played a lot. Hasn't even had a lot of carries. But I know Alabama faithful down there in Tuscaloosa, extremely happy he's back. Alabama's averaging 36 points per game. If they're going to win the SEC, I need to see that up just a little bit. Gets about 38 points a game. It makes a big difference. That's good for 31st nationally. And when they hit their tempo, I'm telling you, they're really good. Kane Womack is one of those guys. Each and every coach's carousel, we should hear Kane Womack's name because he's been a staple. And I believe that this is a sport that's getting younger. It's a what have you done for me lately sport, but it's also a no country for old men sport, as Nino predicted back in early 2023. No country for old men. This is one of those sports that's getting younger and younger. Kane Womack is under 40, one of the brightest defensive minds in the country, and he runs that 4-2-5 swarm defense, and it is beautiful to watch. They attack, react, and attack. That's what they do 100%. They're forcing turnovers. They're only allowing 16 points per game. And you got to look at Deontay Lawson, Jahad Jefferson, Elijah Hill. These guys are making plays week in and week out, and they're swarming. They're swarming 100%. This defense is that defense that can do two things. Good enough to play pass because you got 5 defensive backs, but also that nickelback is one of those really good guys that can cover, also come in and help and run support. They're not afraid to bring that 8th man into the box for one of those safeties. I'm telling you, the 4-2-5 is the quintessential defense in college football because of the offenses that you face. So we talked a lot about Alabama side of the ball. Talk to you about the offense that Ryan Grubb runs, the defense that Kane Womack runs. Let's talk about Eli Drinkwitz. And I believe Eli Drinkwitz is one of the most underrated coaches in college football. I believe he's underrated because he's quirky. I think he's really quirky, so I think a lot of people just like, look at this guy. This guy was probably this in high school or that in high school. Does a little bit weird things as it pertains to recruiting, but he's done a good job. He's done an outstanding job since he's been there. He really has. They're 5-0. They're balanced. They're efficient. They're ruthless. Team is averaging 45 points per game, 7 in the nation. Lounges 14 points a game. That's 16th in the nation. What that mean? They top 16 offensively and defensively. Phenomenal. That is purely phenomenal. 226 points to 73 points through 5 weeks. Outstanding. Their offense coordinator is Kirby Moore. What do we know about Kirby Moore? He runs a wide zone play action offense that punishes undisciplined defenses. It's patient, it's methodical, and it's lethal. And the thing I like about this team is balance. Is there a team in the country with better balance than Missouri? Because when you come into this game, what's the one thing you're saying as a defensive coordinator? What has Kane Womack been preaching to his players probably the entire week? We got to stop Ahmad Hardy. He's been doing whatever he wants to do this entire year. He's been running like a man possessed. We got to stop Ahmad Hardy. And you'll sit there and you'll forget how good Bo Prabilla is. Bo Prabilla has played outstanding. Who saw this coming? After the guy Brady Cook graduated last year from Missouri. Who saw this coming with Bo Prabilla? He's been playing outstanding. 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. Does have 3 interceptions on the season, but he's making it happen. And Ahmad Hardy, deservingly so, gets so much for the credit what this offense has been able to do, but they're balanced. They play with supreme balance, and I think it's impressive, man. 730 yards, 9 scores on the season. He's averaging about $150 a game. Kevin Coleman Jr. is like that. Almost 40 catches on the season, 386 yards. Not a high average per catch. It's just not what he's designed to do in the system. He gets the ball early. He makes plays. That's what he's designed to do. But I love the balance that offense coordinator Kirby Moore has created with this Missouri team. They've looked outstanding offensively. The games that I've watched them, I get more and more impressed with Missouri. But can they do this? That'll be the key. Can they do this against Kane Womack defense? Can they do it against them? So let's talk about Corey Batoon's defense a little bit. And very disciplined defense, but everybody wants their defense to be disciplined. 4-2-5. That's where everybody runs, right? They don't blitz a lot. They play assignment football. Darius Wilson has 3.5 sacks on the season. Jaden Schroeder leads with 28 tackles. He's cleaning up every gap. I like what I've seen out of this team. It's complete balanced football. It's balanced offensively with the run and the pass. It's balanced defensively because their defense is matching their offense intensity. Offense want to put points on the board. Defense want to get stops. And I think the Border Wars is the only game that we see their defense didn't play well. But Jalen Daniels was playing out of his mind. Truly playing out of his mind for Kansas that day. So now, what do we have? Let's play scheme on scheme chess. We have Grubbs pro spread, right? Versus Batoon's 4-2-5. And then we have Kirby Moore's wide zone style RPO offense versus Kane Womack defense. This is going to be an outstanding chess match. And I can't wait to see a lot of the checks at the line. That's the stuff I'll be looking for when I'm watching this game. So to see what Kane Womack shows defensively, what Missouri gets into, checks into, and then what Deontay Lawson and company checks to defensively. This is going to be a chess match. This is a scheme. If you love schemes, this is a scheme dream type of game. It really is. I think this is an outstanding scheme. So we look at both of these two teams. They're both playing outstanding. Both have incredible balance. I think these teams kind of mirror each other in some ways. I just believe that Ty Simpson is playing better than Bo Perbilla is, but Hardy is one of the best running backs in the country, if not the best running back in the country. So in Columbia, that fan base is going to show up. They're going to show out. They're going to be screaming to the top of their lungs. I have this being an upset week. Because if I'm predicting this year college football is one of the closest, if not the closest I've seen to 2007, we have more upsets on the way. So, yes, give me Missouri in this game. This is going to be one of those games. They're going to storm the field. That goalpost, ain't no telling where the goalpost at. I wish they would start putting the little tractors on the goalpost and figure out where they're at. It's going to be an outstanding game. Outstanding. We are not worthy to see a game like this with incredible balance, incredible schemes. They got the Jimmies and the Joes, and they got the X's and the O's. This is one of those games that you should truly appreciate as a fan. That's Bama, Missouri. Give me Missouri. I know Roll Tide fans going to be upset at me, and they're going to be dunking at me if Alabama win this game. But give me Missouri 31-28 because that's what the season has been like. And then I'm excited for this last game. If you know me, you know I love the air raid. Super excited for this last game, so let's get into it. All right. We got Michigan versus USC. Like I said, we are not worthy of these games that we've been getting. And this game holds a lot of weight as far as the hierarchy of the Big Ten. We know right now, Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana is kind of the creme de la creme. They're the upper echelon. They're the top shelf teams at the moment. But I've been really impressed with Michigan. I was impressed with how they handled themselves in Oklahoma. Low-scoring game. Yes, they lost the game. Yes, we don't reward and we don't hand out more victories over here. But it told me a lot about that program. And then how they handled themselves. Tough atmosphere in Lincoln. They was able to win that game with, I forgot his name. While Sherrone Moore was out, coach who was appointed, Pocky, I think that's his name. The coach who was appointed the interim tag while Sherrone Moore was serving his 2-game suspension. They played outstanding versus Central Michigan. I know that was a game that was expected to win, but to go into a raucous environment like Lincoln, come out with that win when a lot of people was like, yo, Matt Rule year 3. Matt Rule year 3. You already know what it is. And a lot of us was talking to, and a lot of us believe in it, but Matt Rule has done an outstanding job this year as pertaining to coaching. But I look at this Michigan team, and it's one of those unicorn teams because I know the offensive coordinator. I know what the offensive coordinator likes to do. What he's doing in Ann Arbor is not what he likes to do, right? We saw Chip Lindsey in Carolina under Mac Brown as their offensive coordinator. What you saw was a lot of balance. Quarterbacks who could pass the ball, get stats, and then running backs like Amarian Happman who can run and get yardage as well. We have not seen that in Ann Arbor. But is this because Chip Lindsey doesn't want to be balanced? Of course he want to be balanced. But also, I think what we got to take into consideration, got a freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood. This is what Michigan has become. Michigan used to be supremely balanced when Harbaugh first got there. They decided, well, we're going to be extremely physical. We're going to play outstanding defense. And we're going to run the ball like that Georgia Tech Brent Key mantra. So Underwood on the season only got 1,000 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 77 of 130 passing this year. And I know a lot of people look like, well, that's not the Chip Lindsey system I'm used to. Well, just because Chip Lindsey is the offensive coordinator, guess what? Their offensive coordinator is a former offensive lineman who's also a former coordinator. So this offense has been ran in a vision of who? Sherrone Moore, who likes to run the ball. It's simple. Yes, it's not Chip Lindsey that we expect, but they are and have very much been, for most part of the season, a one-trick pony. But if your one trick can't be stopped, then why stop, right? Justice Haynes is playing out of his mind. 654 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns on the season, averaging almost 8 yards per carry. That's crazy. It's one thing to see a team with supreme balance, like we talked about Alabama a little bit earlier, Missouri a little bit earlier, teams with supreme balance, and be like, damn, it's 33, what they going to do? Versus another team where you know what they're going to do, but can you stop it? And the psyche that brings to your mindset, like, yo, like, we know they going to run, and they still picking up first downs, and then little do we know, a few moments later, Justice Haynes then broke for a 30, 40-yard run. That's the way that they're playing right now. Their outside zone scheme is crazy. They're leading the FBS in runs over 50 yards. That's crazy to me. So we talked a little bit about the offense. Like I said, it's not the Chip Lindsey scheme we're all familiar with, because this is ran in the eyes of Sherrone Moore, who say, hey, run the ball. You probably see Chip Lindsey walking and, around the facilities and say, hey, don't forget, run the ball. Like, I'm sure that's the way it goes. And Sherrone Moore's going to play the way he wants to do. Wink Martindale's been outstanding. We've seen some guys with high IQs at defensive coordinator come down to the collegiate level. And what I kept saying in the offseason is that, like, college football is such a nuanced game. The hash marks are wider. The offenses are wider. How do you adjust to that? How do you adjust to a team being on the short side of the field with a bunch to the wide side of the field? And you got to play that flood concept. How do you adjust to that? And I tell you, Matt Patricia, Don Wink Martindale are doing an outstanding job doing it. Base out of the 3-4. The one thing you know about Don Wink Martindale is he's going to blitz. He's going to blitz an awful lot. You seen a guy at the linebacker spot in Jasheen Barham, who I seen, he was either a sophomore at Maryland or a freshman at Maryland. I think he was a sophomore at Maryland when I first seen him. This kid looks like he was building a lab. It's only been a few players I seen, and I'm at games a lot on the sidelines. One of them was Nick Harbor being at South Carolina, seeing, kid's legit 6'5". Dude looks like a middle linebacker at 6'5", and he plays wide receiver, and he has 4.2 speed. Yeah, that's scary. But Jasheen Barham is another one of those dudes. He's a legit 6'3", and he looks like he was just built in a laboratory. Got 3 sacks on the season at linebacker. That's Don Wink Martindale's system. We're going to blitz you. We're going to blitz you. It may cost us a lot. It may cost you a little. But we're going to blitz you. That's just who Don Wink Martindale is. They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz 100%. Ernest Hausman got 31 tackles on the season, and his defense is looking like that Baltimore-style defenses that Don Wink Martindale had for so many great years there. So, I got Michigan out the way. You guys know I'm super excited to talk about USC. Bear with me. I'm going to say a lot of things some of you all may not be familiar with, but you guys are going to see right now how much I know about this offense. So, let's talk about Lincoln Riley and his offense. It is poetry in motion. It's poetry on turf, grass, whatever you want to call it. He's an air raid guy, and guess who else is an air raid guy? I am. Guess who else has an air raid playbook? One of these days, I'm going to start a film room show. One of these days, I'm going to actually show you my playbook as well. But it's not just about yardage. It's about manipulation. So, Lincoln Riley is the only coach that I've seen in person, because you can't see it on television, that how most coaches have they play sheet for each game and their reminders and all of that, and they're holding it, and it's like this. His joint is literally like this pocket gum I have in my hand right there. And I think it's just percentages of stuff defenses do on different downs. So when you see Lincoln Riley, I want you to think the 91 shallow cross. I want you to think the 92 mesh. And the thing with the 92 mesh is so beautiful. You know it's a mesh concept. It's dual drags on both sides, right? But who's setting the mesh? Who's going below the mesh? Who's going above the mesh? And this is, if it's man, you're going to run all the way across. If it's zone, you're going to find the first hole. So if it's man, you run all the way across and you're throwing at the area if you're a quarterback. If it's zone, the first player is going to set the mesh point. The wide receiver is going to go above the mesh point. He's going to find that first hole in the zone, and then you're throwing at numbers, right? And you got the 93 H-will. It's a play I love so much. It causes so much confusion against man and zone. You got the 94 wide cell, 95 wide cross, which is like, other than the 92 mesh, that's the most traditional play in the air raid offense. You got the 96 curl flat. You got the 98 smash, the 618 stick, 66 hitch seam, the 8 snag. These are routes. When I think of the air raid, this is what I think about. It's 100% what I think about. And I remember when I was trying to figure out, hey, what type of playbook I want to run. And a lot of plays that I knew at the time before I created my playbook were just based off of stuff I remember when I played ball. But I only played up to 9th grade. And, a lot of those plays, it was just a number system. Like, hey, let's run wing gut right 23. You know what I'm saying? It was just real basic. But so as I started to learn different systems, I looked at Steve Sarkisian's system. His system is a lot of verbiage, just like Bruce Arians' system or like a John Gruden system. It's a lot to say. And I was looking at the air raid. I said, oh, these concepts are simple. They're really simple. Like, it doesn't matter what formation you are in. 92 mesh is a 92 mesh. A 93 H-will is a 93 H-will. So that's why I started to learn this system. But I love this. Love this system. So I told you guys about the 92 mesh and how that's the quintessential play. When how Mummy built this play, I forgot. I believe they was at, was it Valdosta State they was at? They threw the ball like, I think it was like 80-something times, and they called this play like 55 times because teams just really couldn't stop it. So I love this offense so much. And I wanted you to just kind of go over that stuff so you guys know, like, okay, dude, Governor really is knee-deep in with this system. The thing that I've noticed this year, to be honest with you, is that the air raid is a scheme system designed to get whoever you have at whatever position open. It's not about the Jimmies and Joes. It's about the X's and O's. And it's very simple. If you're a man that run 92 mesh, we're going to kill you. But guess what? If you're in zone, I run 92 mesh, we're going to find the first hole, and we still going to pick up first downs, right? I think this year the difference with Lincoln Riley is my players are going to make plays. And he's just finding really creative ways to get his players the ball. And I appreciate that because they had a guy like, Zachariah Branch, who was incredible. And I was like, well, they know how to use him because I understood the scheme. And his first year, he showed flashes. As a sophomore, it's like, nah, this thing not working out. And I was at a game, and the people in my group chat could tell you, I was at that game myself, Zachariah Branch transferring after this year. And that Maryland game was probably like the midpoint of the season when they played USC last year, maybe like game 8 or 9 of the season. And you could just see it. But, he's being used right in Mike Bobo's system. But I think Lincoln Riley has learned from that. Jaden Maava is playing outstanding. 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, just 1 interception on the season. Mario Lemon's playing outstanding, 589 yards, 5 touchdowns. And they're just getting him the ball. That's the biggest difference. It really is. And they have balance, bro. Jordan is playing outstanding right now as well. The running back, he got 500 yards, 5 scores as well. Deanne Tomlin has been the biggest help to this USC team. It's really been the biggest help. I remember when they got him from UCLA because they could not play defense before him. They really couldn't. So DeAnton Lynn comes from, guess what system he comes from? Don Wink Martindale's system. That 3-4, that hybrid front. So they have a lot of the same principles. So I know this week you probably got both teams like, Lynn, what do you think? I'm sure Lincoln Riley's like, what do you think, like on a 3rd, 4 or less, what will be Don Wink Martindale's approach? Well, where you at on the field? Around the 50-yard line. What do you think his approach is? I think his approach would be that. And I think you're also getting Chip Lindsey and Sherrone Moore having those same conversations with Don Wink Martindale. Hey, starting 4, we're at that 47-yard line. What do you think they're going to run? Right? Because you're trying to find different things that'll give you like a scheme advantage, right? So if you know this guy's system and his system is pretty much your system, just a little bit more hybrid, like there should be tells you should be able to see in the defense. Maybe at halftime, of course, Coach Wink Martindale might not say nothing, but at halftime when everybody get together, be like, hey, I noticed that they're doing this. That's something that I taught, DeAnton Lynn back then. So I think that's the beautiful thing of the sport. Hey, my dog Lever Weeds in the building. Shout out to my dog. Appreciate you, bro. So I think that's the beautiful thing about this system. This is going to be another great scheme game because Dominique Martindale and Deontay Lynn practically run the same scheme. Deontay Lynn comes from his tree. So it's going to really be about these players and who can make the most plays. Michigan is playing outstanding defense. They're only allowing 16 points per game, but USC is scoring almost 50 points per game. I think this game becomes more high scoring than people believe. Give me USC in the shootout. I think USC will find a way to win this game. I think Jaden Ma'ava will just make a couple more plays than Bryce Underwood. Now, if Michigan comes out here in this heat, win a time possession game, Justin Haynes has a bunch of yards, and I'm like, you're not going to beat them. But in this style game, I believe it's a 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. That's 4:30 out west. This should be a fun game, a really game. I think one of those games I think is going to be slept on, to be honest with you. But give me USC in this game. I continue to go against Michigan. Michigan, you guys got the right to clown me, but give me Michigan in this game. What an outstanding episode today. I love the episodes where we get straight to business. I really do. We got straight to previews, man. Like we did do our AP poll top 25. But other than that, man, we did our AP poll top 25, and then we gave you guys 4 game previews. If you enjoyed these previews, you will see them independently. So Ohio State, Illinois will be a separate one. North Texas, USF will be a separate one. Alabama, Missouri, and then Michigan, USC will be separate uploads. I love that style. That is gaining and garnering more traction, if anything. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are the 1%ers. I hope anybody who watched the show today truly learned something. And that's the way it should be. This should be gospel. Like, yo, I'm ready for some college football this weekend. Let me go watch the Governor because we know we're going to learn something. We're going to talk ball talk. And we don't do this for clickbait. We don't do it for nothing else. We do it for educational purposes and because we love this game and we want to push this game forward. That's the only reason we do this. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. Until next time, we will see you all tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel, man. For the 1%ers. Y'all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two great
CJ
defensive
on
minds.
the